Hello aspirants. Today we are going to analyze this year's question paper of UPSC Combined Geoscientist Examination. We will be analyzing all three papers of geology in this video, and there will be a separate video for the hydrogeology paper. So without any further ado, let's get started. First of all, let's start with the physical geology and remote sensing section from paper 1. In this section, most of the questions were asked directly from the syllabus, which can be answered easily if you have just focused on the topics given in the syllabus itself. I have highlighted the sections in red from which these questions are asked, and like every year, UPSC asks something which is not explicitly mentioned in the syllabus, which is the hypogean processes of the Earth's crust. It refers to a geological process that occurs deep within the Earth's crust, which is driven by internal heat and pressure, and often associated with the magmatic activity and the movement of fluids within the Earth. And along with that, you need to briefly mention the three important hypogean processes, which are magmatism, metamorphism, and hydrothermal process. I hope most of you have answered this particular question. Also, the question on glacial landforms and earthquake zones were repeated from the previous year's questions. So, in my opinion, this section will fall under the easy category, as most of the aspirants will be able to answer all of these questions easily, right? Now, let's move on to the structural geology section. Here again, all the questions were directly asked from the syllabus, which are again highlighted in the red, except the question on progressive deformation, which is not explicitly mentioned in the syllabus. The rest of the questions were directly asked from the syllabus. In this question, the question on progressive deformation, you need to mention how rocks deform over time and the factors influencing their deformation. Also, mention the effects of strain rate and temperature on the development of microfabrics and the time relationship between the crystallization and deformation. Also, you can give examples in the Indian context, right? And I hope most of you have answered this question without any difficulty. Question on more strain analysis and the unconformity are again repeated from the previous year papers. So this particular section can also be ranked as easy. In the next section, that is the sedimentology section and the paleontology and stratigraphy, questions are straightforward from the syllabus, and questions like banded iron formation, paleocurrent analysis, significance of microfossils, evolution of equida, Cretaceous succession of Trichinopoli, Gondwana supergroup are repeated from the previous year questions. The question on kinds of lithostratigraphy and Indian examples is an easy one, because after mentioning the lithostratigraphic units such as supergroup, group, formation, member, beds, etc., you just need to add relevant Indian examples. That's it. So overall, I would say the difficulty level of paper 1 is somewhat easy, and I'm sure most of the candidates would have been able to answer most of the questions without any hassle. Right? Now, let's analyze the mineralogy section from the paper 2. So there is a slight change in pattern of questions for this particular section as compared to previous year question, because both the questions carry 3 10-marker subsections. Each 10-marker subsections in each question, as compared to 2 15-markers and 3 10-markers in the previous year papers, right? So UPSC has been asking repeated question on symmetry elements, and this year also it asked the same with reference to monoclinic crystal system. Pauling's rule was asked as an 15-marker in 2022, and this year it got repeated as a 5-marker. A new question was asked, which is enantiotropy and monotropy, that is not explicitly mentioned in the syllabus, but it comes under the concept of polymorphism, right? In enantiotropic system, the transformation between polymorphs is reversible and occurs through a phase transition. While in monotropy, one mineral phase is stable over a wide range of temperature and pressure conditions, while other polymorph is metastable and only exists under specific conditions. So you can say UPSC has started asking an additional layer of information from the specific areas which aspirants often overlook, right? The questions on clinopyroxene is somewhat repeated with a significant slight modification from the last year question on pyroxene and its comparison with amphibole. So overall, this section is somewhat moderately difficult, I would say, and I hope all of you were able to answer the questions without skipping any of them. From the geochemistry section, questions were mostly asked from the radiogenic isotope system, and not a single question was asked from the stable isotope system, which was a deviation from the 2021 and 2022 paper. Questions are mostly application based, which requires an in-depth analysis of the concepts. However, the question on atmospheric composition was repeated from the previous year papers. So overall, this section can also be ranked as a moderately difficult section. Similar trend can be observed over the igneous and metamorphic section, where few questions like albite, anorthite, and orthoclase ternary system and metamorphic mineral assemblies associated with Delhi Aravalli belt was asked, which were not mentioned in the syllabus explicitly. This indicates a shift of focus to additional and in-depth conceptual understanding of the core subjects like mineralogy and petrology is required, right? Now, the focus has been shifted to in-depth conceptual understanding of the core subjects. However, if you see the geodynamic section, questions were pretty straightforward and based on the terms from the syllabus itself. Though Himalayan orogeny was not explicitly mentioned in the syllabus, it was an expected question, and most of you must have read the stages of Himalayan orogeny in this stratigraphy section as well. This was a relatively easier section as compared to the other 4 sections. So overall, standard of paper 2 was moderately difficult, and now let's analyze the paper 3. Let's analyze the economic geology section from the paper 3. If you see the nature of questions, they are slightly straightforward as compared to 2022 and 2020 paper, right? Because in 2021 there was no paper 3, but if you compare it to 2022 and 2020 paper, there is a slight straightforward questions are asked in this year's paper. Most of the questions are directly asked from the syllabus. In fact, the answer of the very first question, that is the assemblage of any 5 types of hydrothermal deposits, has hints in the syllabus itself, which are porphyry, copper, molybdenum, Grayson, tin wollastonite, skarn, VMS, and SEDEX type sulfide deposits. They are directly mentioned in the syllabus. However, the emphasis on examples in the question was reaffirmed by UPSC in most of the questions. And the question on the role of specific types of volatiles is easy to answer if you apply the concept of network former and network modifier, along with suitable examples of deposits found in India and around the world for that matter. So this section, I would say, is easy to moderate in my opinion. The section on Indian mineral deposits and mineral economics is rather mixed. The 10 markers are pretty straightforward from the syllabus, while 15 markers need concept of both stratigraphy and economic geology. The question on Great Mica Belt is new for this section. I hope you didn't confuse it with the mica deposits of Rajasthan. The GMB, that is the Great Mica Belt, lies primarily within the states of Jharkhand and Bihar, covering parts of the districts of Girid, Kodarma, Hazaribagh, and Nawada. This question was asked because recently efforts were made to improve the sustainability and ethical practices within the mica mining industry of this particular belt, including the implementation of certification program and initiatives to eradicate child labor in this section. So this section can be ranked as easy as well. The mineral exploration section has questions directly from the syllabus, and the numericals are in line with the previous year questions. Question on distinction between the electromagnetic geophones and hydrophones came from the magnetic geophysical survey portion of the syllabus. The major distinction between them is their principle of operation. The electromagnetic geophones, they worked on the basis of principle of electromagnetic induction. Hydrophones, on the other hand, are used to detect and measure the sound waves in the water or other fluids, right? So they work on based on the principle of piezoelectricity. So I would rank this section as easy to moderate as well, right? So question from fuel and engineering geology and environmental geology are pretty straightforward, and question like process of formation of uranium deposits, application of remote sensing and geographic information system, that is GIS, in environmental management, recession of Himalayan glaciers are repeated from the previous year papers. So there is a new question on atmospheric rivers and megafloods. I hope most of you are familiar with the term megafloods, but atmospheric rivers must be a new term for many of you. Atmospheric rivers are long and narrow corridors of concentrated moisture in the atmosphere, right? So they are elongated bands of enhanced water vapor transport which extend from the tropics or subtropics to higher latitudes. They are often associated with the presence of low pressure systems or extratropical cyclones. Right. So I hope that's clear. And overall, these two sections are also easy to answer with few exceptions like the one that we just discussed. Hence, paper 3's difficulty level is easy to moderate, I would say. So in conclusion, paper 1 was easy, paper 3 was easy to moderate, and paper 2 was moderately difficult. Now remember that competition will be based on the paper 2 as it will be a differentiator this time. If you have completed the paper and have not skipped any questions, trust me, you have done very well in this paper. Finally, if we see the previous year papers and the cutoff, this year paper is almost in the similar line. So expected cutoff for general category will be somewhat around 400 to 450, I would say. However, this is not final and is subjective as well, as you know. And I hope all of you have given your best in this year's paper. Remember that the result is not in your hands, so stop worrying about the result. This is the time to reflect upon your preparation once again and focus on areas you need to improve upon. That's all for today, guys. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any doubts, write them on the comments below. Until next time, keep striving for success.